I wanted to talk about how to check your biogas for hydrogen sulfide gas. I have made enough videos talking about hydrogen sulfide that I'm not going to go too far into what it is. But the reason why it's important is it's extremely corrosive to metal, and at really low concentrations it can be deadly to humans. So I have brainstormed 3 ways that I'm aware of to detect hydrogen sulfide gas, and one of them is not by smell. It does have an odor. It smells like rotten eggs at low concentrations, and by low I mean really low compared to other gases. But at I think it's 80 parts per million, you can't smell it anymore. And 100 parts per million is considered immediately dangerous to life and health. And then at a low concentration of, I think, 1,000 parts per million, we're talking instant death. So the ways that I thought of, I'll start. I thought of 3 ways to detect or test your gas for H2S. And I'm going to start with the most sophisticated and advanced way that I know of. And if I miss anything, or somebody has some knowledge, of course, as usual, if somebody has some knowledge exceeding mine, I'd like to know all about it. So the first one is going to be the most advanced, and that's an inline sensor. If you were to put some kind of gadget that runs on electricity, I'm sure, in your flow stream somewhere, probably between your filters and your storage bag or something like that, that picks up H2S constantly. It's always testing for H2S, and if it detects any or a certain level, it'll set off an alarm, or maybe light up a little light bulb, or maybe even send an alert to your phone. That would be ideal if you have a big gas operation. It's pretty excessive for mine. I just have those inner tubes there. So for me, or a smaller operation, or probably a lot of you guys, a lot of my viewers, the best way is going to be one of the next 2. And the first one is going to be colorimetric, and I've talked about that on here a little bit. I'm going to show you how it works here in a minute, but first I'll go over it. You got to have this plunger here, something like it at least. And what this does, when I pull on this, it pulls a very specific measured quantity of gas in through this little rubber boot here. And I can change the amount of gas that it pulls by turning this to a from 100. If I turn it to 50, so I match this dot up with that dot, now it's only half a pull. All right, and then there's another measurement here. So this right here costs about $400 US. So it's really expensive. I think it's expensive. And then on top of that, you have to have these colorimetric tubes. This one tests for H2S. You have to have these, and these are expensive also. And not only are they expensive, but they have an expiration date. These ones are only good through May of this year. They don't last very long. So the way these tubes work, you have to follow the instructions on the front. So this one says this one detects H2S from 0.2 parts per million to 3. So that's the one you want to start with to see if you have any. And then if it fills up to 3, you got to get a bigger range to test again. So it says pull 1 pump at 100 milliliters and then wait a minute and a half. It'll turn from orange to pink. Oh, it doesn't tell you where to put the little dialy thing. So if you look at this one's meant to check for CO2 from between 5 and 40%. This one wants half a stroke at 50 milliliters. Wait a minute, it turns from white to purple. So you have to follow the instruction on the colorimetric tube case. Let's see, I took some notes here. It's expensive. It's not very reliable, mostly due to human error. And the tubes expire. So you want also, there's a few brands you can look for this plunger. This one's Honeywell, obviously. You can also look for Ray, R-A-E, or a company called Dragger. So you can shop around, see what's available to you wherever you are, and what's most economical if you want to do it this way. And this, you do have to make sure that your tubes are the same brand. I have Honeywell tubes. You're going to want the same brand, otherwise that'll increase your possibility for human error. So I have a used tube here. You break the ends off, and I'll show you in a minute. I'll actually take a measurement, but you break the ends off here. This hole helps you out with it, and then look for the arrow. That's the way the gas is going to flow. So it goes in this way, and now put it to 100 milliliters, put it into the gas, and take a measurement, and this will start to change color if there's any H2S in there. So that is the second way that you could test for H2S. The third way is called a copper strip, and this might be the most economical. I don't know. It's the oldest way. I know that. I know that people do this like in the automotive industry to check like grease and things for corrosive properties. And what that looks like, at least for me, I don't use this on my biogas, but I have it for a different application at my job. So we have these tubes here, and you would, it's got a hook inside with a piece of copper strip hanging on it. So you would polish this up, make it nice and shiny, and then fill this, and then put it in this tube sealed up. Hook your gas up to one end and blow all the air out until it's just gas in here. And then you put this into a heater and heat it, I think, for an hour. It might be different for different products. I'm not sure. But you would heat it and it will corrode the copper strip. The copper strip will turn all kinds of funny colors if there's moisture, if there's water or H2S or any other kind of corrosive compounds present. And then you use this chart here to determine what's in there, and you want this to come out. But if something over here comes out, you got H2S present. And this, I think the company that sells this is called ASTM. I think they sell all of this equipment, and again, I don't know how much it costs, but I'm sure it would be applicable to biogas, and you would be able to use that over and over and over again. That one copper strip will pretty much, you could use that forever. Once you have that equipment, as long as you have an ability to cook it, to heat it, that equipment would continue to serve you forever. Okay. And that is all of the information that I have on testing for H2S in biogas. I'm going to, real quick, I'm going to actually do it with this 0.2 to 3 for H2S. We're going to go check the gas that's in this inner tube right now. I mean, these things are going to expire anyway, so let's just check it. And then see how that goes. Well, see if I can find a place for my phone over here. think that should do it. Alright, you can see that didn't change colors at all. That means my filters are working. And just for fun, and because I don't think I've done this before on this channel, I'm going to pull this bung off and pull right out of my digester on the other side of my filters. That filled up all the way, instantly. So we got more than 3 parts per million. Next we got 2.5 to 60. Takes 1 stroke, 100 milliliters, a minute and a half. Turns from white to light brown. I can already see it changing. It's climbing. It's almost up to 60. And it just hit 60. That is all brown. And that was probably only half a sample. So next is 25 to 250 parts per million. 1 pump, 100 milliliters, 1 minute. Also white to brown. I'm actually a little concerned about what I'm seeing right now. I'll show you in a second. I'm not timing this. I'm just going to kind of estimate a minute. But this is much higher than it has been in the past. Last time I did this, I don't think I did it on camera, and I can already tell this is higher. You're not, oh, maybe you can read it. Oh, you can read it. Wow. Yeah, so that's at least 100, on the low end, that's 175 parts per million. And on the high end, that looks like it's reaching for 200. So 100 being immediately deadly to life and health, having irreversible, repercussions. That is a big deal. 200 parts per million there. And what is mostly kitchen scraps. It's food, and a little bit of sawdust. So that is an open window. We need air. That is legitimately concerning levels. I mean, I was concerned at 60. Last time I did this, I thought it came out at 60 parts per million. 200 parts per million is that is legitimately concerning. One more thing I wanted to cover. I realized I mentioned with this that this a lot of human error. It's unreliable, mostly due to human error. You could see on the tube there where it's between 175 and 200. It's unreliable because it's hard to read. The human error, though, I'll go deeper into that, so that if you do get something like this to test your gas, it's a great way to verify that your filters are effective. And so I talked about following the instructions on the case for the tubes, and that's one way. You got to follow the instructions. The other thing, you got to make sure that there's a good seal right here, because if you pull a sample and it's sucking air in here, you won't get a good reading, and you might not even know it. So it's sometimes tricky to make sure you got a good seat, even if you got a Honeywell, even if you have matching brands between the plunger and the tubes. If you've got brands that don't match, and I've run into this before in the past. I was using dragger tubes on, I think, a Ray plunger, and it was not working. It was the best thing I had, but I mean, even if I got a good reading, I couldn't trust it. I had no idea if it was actually a good reading or not. So that's the main human error there, is deviating from the instructions and having a little breach there. So those are things to look out for. That's all about H2S.